main topic tonight. What is happening with Michigan and admissions and what needs to change? And I will say, just to start things off, for those of you who don't know the situation, anybody who transfers from another school into Michigan, whether you're an athlete or whether you're not an athlete, only 60 of your credits, maximum, are going to be accepted. And sometimes not even those, because Michigan's very choosy and very selective about the credits that they allow. So somebody named Miles Hinton, you might remember him. He went to a school called Stanford, and Michigan didn't accept some of his credits at Stanford.
Right.
And that's only one. We talked about Ladarius Henderson yesterday on the Avengers Assemble. So these are the headwinds that we're running into, especially with wide receiver talent, but others. So TJ, could you just help walk us through like the dynamic inside the like what's going on inside, like with these discussions with recruits and like what's causing this logjam, so to speak? Because I think a lot of fans want to know, like, you know, what's up with the wide receiver talent. We're seeing some linemen, we're seeing some running backs, but the wide receiver talent, there's been one guy so far. So like, walk us through that a little bit and what's been going on.
Yeah, so some of you might be wondering, like, why are they even talking to these kids if they know they can't get them in? Well, the reality is they don't know until they send their transfer papers, their transcripts to the school. So then the school can go through it, vet it all, and then see what can and cannot be approved. And right now, John, we have 3 that are more public than not. And there's more than just these 3, because there's players that we don't even hear about because they know it just can't happen. But for example, Skylar Bell is the very famous one that just happened. And I was debating with a few people, some Michigan fans, a lot of Connecticut fans. The reason why Skylar Bell did not end up at Michigan is because he is 1 semester away from graduation, and Michigan will not accept a player who's 1 semester away from graduation. And then if he wanted to, let's just say he wanted to transfer to Michigan, he would then miss spring ball. And he doesn't want to miss spring ball because it's a new offense, a new system. He wanted to be here for that. And because he's not, he is now back at UConn. Now UConn fans want to thump their chest and think they won one. And I know, because I got some fire from some of these clowns. But at the end of the day, they didn't win a damn thing. They just happen to be fortunate that Michigan has a high academic standard and would not accept him at this time. And now, again, this isn't a Skylar. Now, I want to stress this also, like, 'cause I'm going to name 2 more players. This is not a Skylar Bell issue. This is not a Troy Stellato issue, which we'll get into, or a Rylan Gandy issue. And depending how you look at it, you may say, well, it's not a Michigan issue either, but I'm going to make the argument it is a Michigan issue. And I also want to preface right now and just say, I understand Michigan's academic. Listen, I did not go to Michigan, but my co-host did. My co-host did go to Michigan. And like, I understand that the academic prestige is what separates Michigan from many of the other schools. And it's something they take great pride in. I get it. I do. That said, when you have players like Skylar Bell, who would be here if it wasn't for this little situation, or a Troy Stellato, who Michigan is still working to get, it's just there's a credit situation. Now, it's not that his stuff isn't good, because it is. He went to a good university, comes into a solid school. It's just that he's over the 60 credit situation. They're actually trying to work that out. And if they can work it out, Troy Stellato, who is a dog, guys, he just had injury issues, but he's a good catcher, very fast, a great run blocker. If they can work it out, I expect him to be at Michigan. If they cannot work it out, he's going to go elsewhere. The other player who just committed to Indiana, Rylan, and I don't know if he committed yet or not, but it will be Indiana. Rylan Gandy, the cornerback that Michigan was looking at from Pitt, same situation as Skylar Bell. 1 semester away from graduation, he won't be here for spring ball. That's an issue. The only way kids is typically transfer to Michigan is if they are grad transfers or freshman and sophomore. Because once you get those 60 credits, like John said, it is extremely difficult to even get them in here, because they're going to lose credits. They're going to lose years of school. And like John said, all your credits might not even be acceptable. Actually, not a lot, but some will not, especially if you come from like a smaller school or so this is an issue. And like, I have a solution, John, but I wanted to get, if you had a take on any of that before I get to the solution, but it's kind of
Well,
where we are with the situation.
well, I think it is a bit more of a Michigan problem than a just general academics problem, because other schools don't have such strict requirements.
That's
Number
right.
one, they accept more
Right.
credits. Number two, number
Right.
three, the actual criteria that's used, we don't even really know. It's like a mystery. It's like it's like the Yelp algorithm. It's like it's a complete mystery. Nobody knows how any of this stuff works. But the reality is there are some real limits on the credit. So I think that that's a detriment if Michigan as a whole. I understand the importance of academics, and that will always, Michigan's going to have that forever, right?
Mhm.
The importance of academics, but if the administration is serious about actually contending for national titles
That's right.
in sports, in athletics, which does have a lot of ancillary benefits from a financial perspective. Also,
Enrollment.
some of the enrollment, some of
Yes.
the
Proven.
top thinkers, may be motivated by, hey, is this a school? Maybe there's some of the smart people out there that also care about sports, right? Yeah, these are some of the things that may cross their mind, because we're out there. So it's a thing. So I guess
Right.
those are just some of the things. Like, it would be nice if there was, if not a full wholesale change, at the very least some type of program where you have a certain amount of wiggle room, so to speak, for your top, so that you could bring in your top people, which we do see at other places. But
That's right.
we'll let you go here.
No, I mean, you're right. You know, it has been shown, studies have shown that if your team is at top in college football, it actually benefits the university as a whole from a revenue standpoint, from an application standpoint, which means you get even better students applying, which makes it your net even greater, and you can actually get the best of the best, which Michigan still does, but I mean, why not make it better? Just tons of benefits: sponsorship, attention, marketing, branding, everything. Like, it is insane the value that because they've shown this. They've shown this with schools like Alabama. They've shown this with other schools that have been on top. The benefit it really brings to the school. And like, to your point, John, the solution. What is the solution? How do we fix this? Well, what needs to happen is, the only way this changes is through the regents, and then Santa Ono as well has to. In my opinion, Ward Manuel has to go to Santa Ono and be like, look, can we make an attempt to have a change for student athletes to get academic exemptions to be able to transfer? Either we have a higher credit threshold, or we can accept more credits in terms of classes and things of that. These are the things that need to be proposed to the regents. The regents have to accept this. That is the only way this will change. Now, how do you do it? Right? So, for example, I just told you Ryland Gandy is going to be going to Indiana. Well, they see some schools allow student athlete exemptions, not student exemptions. So like if a kid, so if I was going to, I don't know, Purdue, and I was in their engineering school, and I wanted to transfer to Michigan, because we all know Michigan's the best at everything, even though Purdue is considered quite well. But point being is, for engineering at least. But the point being is, as a student athlete, or as a regular student, this would not be, I would not get the exemption that a student athlete would. And you would give this exemption to a student athlete because it does, like we just discussed, give you ancillary benefits that, it makes, and not only that, it makes you competitive in a competitive market. You have to evolve. Like, you cannot always be the stubborn old goat, bro. Like, let's be honest. Michigan, I'm gonna call it like it is, John, because that's
Sure.
what we do here. Michigan looked like a stubborn old goat in this NIL shit, bro. And they took a hard hit, like, in terms of recruiting, talent and things like that, right? Like, it didn't help them. They have evolved. you have to, we stress this on this channel all the time. You have to evolve with the market. Now, again, I'm not saying lax your academic requirements, all 360. I'm saying just these student athletes, man. Allow your school to be truly the leaders and best in athletics and academics and run this shit because Michigan should. So it's up to the regions. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, I'm not saying to do anything, but, use your voice. And let me also, last thing I'll hit on this, John, we spoke to a booster in the summer who thought they laxed these requirements because the boosters, now I don't know if all of them feel this way, but I do know this booster felt this way. They felt that these, and they were also a former athlete at Michigan. They felt that these academic restrictions hurt the school and do not help the school, and they wanted to see them get laxed. So there's definitely a want to within University of Michigan. It's just only the top can make these changes.
Absolutely. And it really does start like you laid it out, Santa Ono. So Ward Manuel has to actually do something. And we've discussed on this program on many occasions that's pretty spotty, his record of doing that. But if he were to go to President Ono,
right, propose,
then what happens is, you put together a proposal, it gets put in front of the Board of Regents, and they have a vote. Now, most of these votes are predetermined. They're not supposed to be, but usually how a vote is going to go before they actually have the vote. It's kind of like in Congress, like they know if they have the votes or not for a particular thing because it's been pre-negotiated. That's how life works. Like obviously I'm not telling you that, just the audience here may not know like how when you see these votes, they're not happening in real time sometimes unless it's super razor close. Like these are pre-negotiated. So this can be a campaign to influence this. This could happen in a lot of ways, but at the end of the day, like it's going to come down to a Board of Regents vote on admissions and on potential academic exemptions for transfer students, which as of right now, we haven't heard a lot of movement, if any at all.
Right. See, a lot of people thought there was movement with the way Dusty May was bringing in kids last year, but it appears that things are still, they're still tight. It's still not evolved to a further place. Hopefully there's some movement there. Now, we'll get into some recruiting more in the recruiting segment, but I just wanted to lay it out for you guys. And I also just want to stress this. Listen, I understand your frustration. I too am frustrated. It is what it is. Michigan's just going to have to overcome it. They're just going to have to overcome these limitations that make it a little bit tougher for them in terms of portal recruiting.